Bitcoin is showing major signs of weakness in a few regards. It has fallen out of this 7-month-long macro channel and is in what I call a yellow triangle. Bitcoin, on another sign of weakness, has fallen both below an origin line that goes to the origin of all of Bitcoin price history and is below this red line, which is the weekly 10 EMA. And on my channel, I go over a lot why that is perhaps the most important single indicator on a specific time frame in all of crypto, particularly Bitcoin, thus all of crypto. If my guess of 21,300 area by July 1st, that is my main guess of what's getting ready to happen this month. If that's going to be incorrect, you will see it on two charts. A very simplistic chart with a very simple support running off of the 15K lows, and they drop down to 20K, I'm pointing at right here, mixed with this wick way back here from, I believe, late April of 2022. This wick right here, perhaps where it meets this structural support, that could save Bitcoin, but there is another reason why 25,400 will be that line in the sand to essentially save Bitcoin from not doing what I think is the most probable option that it has for the month of June, to go down to the low 20,000s. Mixed, so 25,400 mixed with this chart here. It's not a Bitcoin or crypto chart. However, it leads Bitcoin. It is the futures composite index of the S&P 500. I specifically use the chart called US 500, the Pepperstone exchange. Let's dive in and go get some Bitcoin. Are you ready? Let's get it. Here we go. Let's dive into this macro channel right here. We're going to zoom in. We've been using this channel for quite a while on the Cosasverdes channel here, where I'm going to try to deliver you quick Bitcoin and crypto price movement updates by 10 a.m. most Monday through Fridays. And as we can see, I'm going to go to the very micro chart, and I might as well take off this yellow triangle. I'm going to hide it for a minute. Maybe. Yes. Macro channel has fallen out a few times. Take a look. Held on to dear life. Raced up over a weekend. An 8% move on up to a Sunday. Went up to about $28,000, which is the bottom of the area that I showed you earlier from April. It's not the wick down, it's the structural support where a lot of daily closures were. It came back up to retest it, and also it went over the what I call the 1/4 line, and this is the bottom of the macro channel, the 1/4 line. The half-court line is a little up higher, and it did a very common failure rejection pattern before then getting out of this channel. So when you leave a channel, so check this out, even on micro channels, if you leave a channel and you do not find support, did not find perfect support on its way down, then you go up to the 1/4 line, which is not very high, even though this was a 9% hot move on a weekend, which is very rare for Bitcoin nowadays, failure rejection pattern, and then you leave again, that's usually kind of a death sentence for it, specifically in regard to staying in that channel with any longevity at all. However, that yellow triangle that I just hid, if I can even find that now, that yellow triangle, what it means is this is the whale zone where large money can essentially create bear traps. So this is a bear trap area where price it has absolute permission to simply float around here in a very directionless manner. However, this chart, where two important lines cross, that will give us the date by which, whales won't be able to play and just do their shenanigans in this anymore in a directionless fashion. It's where that 28,200 base meets with the end of, or the bottom of the channel. And this is where Bitcoin, the same line, so see how this line touches the channel there? That same line is the line from which Bitcoin capitulated down to 15,500 back around June of 2022, actually November, it capitulated and then went down several months later to 15.5. All right, so it capitulated from 28 to 17.5, bounced, went down to 15.5, but this is the line from which the capitulation began. And that same line crosses, so when two important lines cross, I'm telling you, like, it's very, very important. If Bitcoin does not get back into this channel by June 15th or so, the very middle of June, and you can see that this origin line, I composed or transposed the origin line onto this chart as well. That's why it's not the same angle or slope. But this origin line here is the same origin line that you're seeing right there, the dotted, the thicker line. If it's not back in the channel by then, what that means is the probabilities of Bitcoin not getting back into that channel are they're very high at that point. Right now, though, this could be a bear trap, but if Bitcoin's not in there by almost exactly the weekend of Friday, June 16th, if it can't get back in, then the probabilities of it getting back in are exceptionally low, and then it will essentially, at bare minimum, need to go down to this wick here, which is 25,400, where it will find support with an exceptionally important line, the monthly 10, which is white. It's exactly at 25,400. If the US 500, or the Pepperstone chart specifically, is between these two numbers here, okay, 4306 and 4181, then that will coincide with Bitcoin's ability to continue creating bear traps. If it's, for example, if the US 500 is not below 4181, then really Bitcoin doesn't need to break down. If the US 500 is not above 4306, then Bitcoin doesn't have that great of a chance by being pulled up as this the US 500 leads Bitcoin. The chance of Bitcoin getting back into that macro 7-month channel, the chances are pretty low. What could happen is that Bitcoin separates the wrong way on a weekly scale. So it does separate sometimes on the 5-minute basis, but usually if it's a green 5-minute candle on this chart, it's a green 5-minute candle of about 2.5 to 4 times the size on Bitcoin. It's usually 2.5 to 4 times more volatile than this chart. It's almost always, and it's almost always in the same direction. However, Bitcoin is not doing this. It's not going up right now, and it's not breaking out of a macro area. It's breaking down from a macro channel, but it's in that yellow triangle. It could be a bear trap. So if Bitcoin is not in that channel by the middle of this month of June 2023, and the US 500 is above 4306, then you need to, that is not very likely to happen, but it happened during last Wyckoff. The Wyckoff drop of Bitcoin when price went from the mid 55,000s, about 55K, down to $29,000 in June or May, around May 22nd of 2021. If that were to happen, then the chances of some macro move in the opposite direction, that's only really happened once ever in Bitcoin history, versus the stock market, the chances of that happening increase greatly. But as of now, it's not happening, therefore the chances are not great. But I mean, really keep an eye on the relationship of this potential breakout of the stock market and Bitcoin not being in that channel. It could be pretty bad, and it could mean that the large money essentially kind of helping hold up Bitcoin, they're more interested in stocks, and Bitcoin's not of interest to them, and the money present that is providing any type of buy support, it's just going to focus on stocks, and it could be really bad for Bitcoin, really bad for Bitcoin. And that in that situation is, if this breaks out and above this, and Bitcoin is not within that channel by the middle of this month, you need to start looking out for that, the warning sign. If you want to take a look at the importance of 25,400 and rising a little bit every week by 10, 15 bucks, it's not a very fast rise. However, take a look. I'm on the 4-hour chart, and down here is where Bitcoin in late 2018 and early 2019 was at the 3,200 levels from the 20K top of 2017, as you can see here. Bitcoin went above the monthly 10 and went back below it, and then went below it even more. And so it went above once, it went above twice, and on the third time it stayed up. So let's go to current price. How many times has it been above? Once. Keep that in mind. The bear market previous to that, this is 2015 land when Bitcoin was about 200 bucks. The same two lines, the weekly 10 and the monthly 10, are important, but the roles were flipped. Here, Bitcoin was above the weekly 10 or red, but could not get above the monthly 10, and right now it's reverse. So this bear market is not a very good comparison point to what's happening currently. Although that original bear market, the beginning of that bear market was pretty similar to what happened this bear market. A little bit more similar than what happened in the bear market of 2018 with all those dead cat bounces. Therefore, all eyes might want to be on 25,400 or the monthly 10. I have on here the daily 300 EMA, so it's smoother. It's almost exactly the same, almost to the dollar, what the monthly 10 is, but it doesn't look all jagged like this when you're on lower time frames. So I have it on a multi-time frame EMA or an MTF EMA so I can see the monthly 10 or the daily 300 while I'm on the 4-hour chart. Therefore, if you see Bitcoin go below that monthly 10 or the daily 300, what that means is the likelihood of my target of July 1st being hit, it goes way above 50%. Way above 50%. And the reason I think that this will be the target, despite the monthly 10 over here, potentially being used, getting ready to be used as support, is because of the consequence of Bitcoin going below this origin line and getting trapped under the weekly 10, even without falling out of the channel. Those two things usually lead to a downside move that essentially condemns Bitcoin to, it has to hit the next origin line down. Those are the rules. An origin line rule has only ever been broken once in 13 and a half, 14 years, and that was the Wyckoff drop, when Bitcoin separated the wrong way, the bearish way, from the US 500, which it might happen again, but the chances of that are not high until the situation I described earlier, and I reiterated once or twice, happens. So it's not something to worry about yet, but these are all the ways that Bitcoin can move over the next couple months. And these are the items that you'll see if my target of July 1st is going to become probable or not becoming probable. Right now, I don't know if it's probable for this to be hit. However, this is my main guess because the origin line, weekly 10, and falling out of the macro 7-month channel, which you can see here. However, that might be a bull trap, so I don't put as much weight on having fallen out of here, but I do put a lot of weight. I put a lot of stock, unintended, into this line being lost as support while going under the weekly 10. It should condemn it to this. However, from your perspective, since you might not appreciate and put a lot of stock into that, just realize the probability of this being correct skyrockets if 25,400 is lost. It really is that simple. The chances of the 21Ks, 21 to 22K being hit, it increases way, way, way above 50%. So please keep an eye out on that. And that is your Monday update and all the things to start looking out for this is a format your brain to the scale of the month of June. This is not an analysis for the day or trying to, day trade or anything. This is essentially a large juncture, almost like your elbow. Price can go up or it can go down. It's a juncture, and this is the thought of it has to make a choice, and whichever choice it makes will lead to macro and long-lasting effects on price, and it will create a trend that is pretty long-lasting, at least 2 to 3 months. Could be 100 days of one daily trend. And it has a chance to stay up if it can bounce off 25,400. Keep an eye out on that, and we'll see you tomorrow at about 10 a.m.